Welcome to Eye on the Illini Live. This is Mike Kegley with Brad Sturdy, Kedrick Prince. Huge day for Illini basketball. I think, Brad, the most important thing about this is we've got Stefan Vaaks, who is a uber talented player out of Providence. Brad Underwood is doing what no Illini coach has been able to do before, which is capitalize on a Final Four appearance. We are actually seeing, no probation. We're seeing, the ability to cash in with good recruits to make the team better. Now, Brad, I know you've been studying this for a while. And I guess before we start talking about this, I want to throw in a note here that, Brad and Ked are, guys who've been in this industry for 20 years. They know guys across not just the Big Ten, but the entire country. It would be easy for them to rush to be the first one to break a story, but a lot of times they just be competing against one another. You don't want to ruin it for a kid, but let's just say that Brad has certainly tried to make people aware. If you're a IlliniGuys.com subscriber and you're on the message board, he's been trying to make people aware of the possibility of this happening. And just coincidentally, Brad has spent a couple days breaking down film on this. So, Brad, let's talk a little bit about how Brad Underwood seems to be able to do a little more than what coaches in the past have been able to do to turn a Final Four, appearance into not just a memory, but a stepping stone for the future.
Yeah, I think the one thing you see from Underwood is doing exactly what hasn't happened before. Just like you mentioned, they have not been able to capitalize on this, and we've heard and obviously the world is different now with the transfer portal, with those types of things where you can get guys who can immediately come in and play. You couldn't do that, years ago. So, but he is capitalizing on the system and taking advantage of it. Illinois is a hot commodity right now, as Ked wrote in his article. Earlier about Stefan Vaaks. And so then the other thing is I think that Illinois also is finding guys that fit their system. We got a chance to, we'll talk more about this later, but I know we got a chance to watch Lucas Murillo. A lot of people got a chance to watch him last night at the Nike Hoop Summit, and he looked fantastic. And you just watch him play and you think he fits in the Illinois system. He is a guy who fits and he's perfect. Then you go to the next side and you look at them adding today, a 6'7", guy who can handle the ball, shoot the ball, pass the ball, kid who has great positional size and also has great skill. And you think, there we go again. We've got another guy who really fits this Illinois system and the way they want to play. So, yeah, I think Brad Underwood is doing exactly what he needs to do to get this back. Now they're just waiting on. They need another piece, I think. Whether it's John Blackwell, and they have a meeting with him coming up, and then to return the big three, and then Stojakovic, and this is probably at least a top 3 or 4 team preseason next year, might be number 1. It could be.
Ked, either that's number 1 or you're just about to itch your nose.
Well, I'm going to start off real quick with what you introduced this podcast with. You're right. Brad and I have been around for a long time, and we're very well connected. And sometimes we talk to different people, and I really want to put this out there. I've been in this business long enough, and so has Brad. The thing we will never do is ruin a kid's moment. We can't. Well, we could, but we choose not to. Illinois women had a big basketball commitment. Divine Birds, she committed 14, 15 days ago, but I couldn't say anything. Because if we get in the business of start doing that, then people won't trust us. So you can pick and think that we don't know. You go to our message boards, we give out so many hints, but I'm never, and I know Brad, I've known Brad for years, working in different companies. We are never going to take a kid's commitment. I don't care if it's golf, tennis, women's basketball, men's basketball, volleyball, and ruin it for them. That is not right, because I wouldn't want that done to my kid. And to be honest with you, the company, Mike and you and Larry and Brad, you guys are all really good, about we much rather get things right and do things right than to say that we're first. If we put our teachers on our message boards, that should be good enough for you to understand and know that we know. And the reason I know this is because I know damn well how many people text me, and I'm sick of people texting me and abusing my friendship. And I know Brad does it because he can't respond to people like I can't either. So are we number one? I couldn't tell you that, but I do know this. We're both very well respected. Now, today, this basketball commitment today to me is huge because on so many different levels. Vaaks is a shooter. You know who he reminds me of? And I know people don't like comparisons. Some people do, some people don't. To me personally, he reminds me a lot of Bennett Sturts a little bit. Because when you look at a guy that can put the ball on the floor the way he could, I think he's going to thrive in the Illinois system better than what he did at Providence. I think Illinois system fits him well. He can play point. He can play two, on the ball, off the ball, whichever terminology you prefer to use. I think it's great. Illinois is trying to, bottom line, Brad Underwood said to me, and I've said it, I believe, on the last podcast, when they went to the Final Eight a couple years ago, kid, I'm hungry. I want more. Then they got the Final Four this year. We saw what that was like. Illinois fans, this isn't the 80s and the 90s when they struggled. Illinois basketball, whether you like it or not, and Mike, you can take this clip and put it on social media that Kedrick Prince said that Illinois is now one of the top 10 best programs in college basketball. Have been, currently, and it looks like they're still going in that direction. Why I'm saying that? They're attractive. They don't have to go out and hunt people anymore. People want to play for Illinois. You know why? Look at what Will Wright is doing in the NBA. Kasparis is doing in the NBA. He had 18 the other night. Terrence Shannon, Ayo Dosunmu, Keaton Weigler. It is a very, very attractive place. They win. They won more games than anybody in the Big Ten. They're in the Final Four. And I'll tell you what's really unique, to tell you how Illinois is setting the standards. I had a phone call today before this commitment, and one guy said to me that people were so enamored by Illinois' size. USC's trying to do it. Michigan's trying to do more of it. Michigan State's trying to do it, and so is UCLA. My point is, they've set the standards. This is now, and Brad has a system in place. He knows what he's looking for. He doesn't have to go out and try to play up the line defense and do all these things that he did when he first got there. His system is in place, and he knows what he's looking for. And the 6'6", 6'7" guys or 6'4" guys that can shoot it, like Quinn Coleman, like Vaaks, like Markovic, like the Twin Boys, like Weigler. This is a great, great time to be an Illinois fan, fellas.
It's interesting, and he's got a ton of really good attributes for a player. And I think the thing I think was really interesting in watching Illinois is when guys transfer into Illinois from other schools, you see the analytics that Illinois used to get them there, and then you see their game get modified to amplify their strengths. So in other words, like Big Z, he took quite a few, 2-pointers that were not at the rim. And then this year, he just basically dunks and does layups. Illinois takes his game and says, this is what you do well. Let's apply that. I think this guy, Brad, maybe you've done a really well-detailed scouting report. Tell us a little bit about what he does well, and then we can talk about how we think, the Illini coaches are going to tweak that and maybe put him in a role that's more, even a better role for him to have success. Because I think that's what the Illini coaches do so well is they put guys into a position that they can be successful, and that takes good scouting and understanding the game, et cetera.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to figure out the whole, you asked me about 6 questions there, Mike. In that one.
And now I'm just going to let you flounder, try to figure out what to do first.
Figure out which one to answer. So when you kind of look at him, and when we look at, breaking down his scouting report and things, I think he really fits. He's great on the ball, but he's also a guy who can be a spacer too. So you have so many guys next year, whether it's Markovic, whether it's, if they do add John Blackwell, as we're hoping, whether it's Quentin Coleman, whether it's if you watch Lucas Murillo, you're looking at different guys who can handle the ball and create. You can play out of mismatches, etc. Now you have another guy. When Vaaks is on the floor, he can space too. He could just be a spacer on the weak side, and you can, because if the ball comes out to him, he's got a great quick release. He'll get that shot off. Now, there are some areas that he's got to improve. I think Fletch is a good sell for him too, because it's not that he doesn't have, he's not got a good, he's 6'7", 210 pounds, I think is what they list him at. Maybe he's 212 or 215. I don't know, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
He needs to probably be about 220, 225. He needs to make some upper body strength. He really needs to get a little stronger and be able to handle some contact a little more. And once he does that, I think you're going to see him be even better at little things. Now, he likes to shoot the three. He took 263s this past year, right? Hit 91 out of 260, which is a crazy amount of three-pointers. Like, just that's a lot of threes. That's a high usage, and so it's good. But at the same time, he also doesn't really like to drive in the paint. I mean, he will at times, but he's not really. That's not his thing. But you mentioned putting them in a position to succeed. This is a guy who shot, I think it was 61% at the rim, which isn't bad for a guy who's ball happy. So, a guy ball dominant driver. And so when that happens, he's a pretty good finisher. Now, it's not as much as he could, but the one thing you want to see is him spend more time in the paint. And when he can start doing that, especially going to his left, then he will make that next step, because when he gets to his right, he gets to the paint, man. He can get downhill. He can actually finish. He likes going that way. When he's going left, he wants to shoot the step back. He wants to shoot off the dribble going to his left. And so those are little things that you'll pick up, and Illinois knows what they need to work on. Some of that is just developing. And I think Adam Fletcher is going to be huge for him, getting stronger, allowing him to finish better, and also be stronger defensively as well. Be able to fight through screens. Screen navigation's an issue for him. You see him get caught up on screens a lot when he's defending out on the perimeter. I don't think they're going to ask him to defend as many small perimeter guards. I think they're going to have, if they can add Blackwell, or if they can, if Andrej Stojakovic is back, then those two guys will navigate. They'll be better defending on the perimeter. And then you let him maybe guard a player where he can use his length, because he does have good length too. So he can contest shots. And he's good on closeouts. He's actually a pretty good closeout defender. It's just a matter of his ability to, maybe guard through ball screens. It's not even guarding the ball, because he can use his length. But so there's some things that he's going to have to do to play. He's going to have to rebound, but Illinois is going to put him in a position where he's going to be extremely successful. We saw that and you mentioned Z was like they would post him up at Arkansas. It was a bad move, right? He's not a low post scorer. They would do things like that, and it wasn't effective. He had his most efficient season this year ever, despite the fact he couldn't throw it in the ocean for the second half of the season. And that was still his most efficient year in college basketball, because they put him in a position where he succeeded. Ben Humrickhouse put him in a position where he succeeded. Jake Davis put him in a position where he succeeded. You go down the list. Even Stojakovic, he didn't take near as many twos from mid-range as he did previously, right? I mean, he took some. Occasionally you have to late shot clock, but he got to the rim more than ever before. And it was really, it showed what you can do if you put guys in the proper position. And also having four guys who can shoot around Stojakovic allowed him to get deeper and get to the rim. So the spacing is all part of this process. It's great. I mean, they do a fantastic job on the offensive end of getting guys in the right positions.
Well, Brad kind of stole my thunder a little bit, I guess. Oh, Mike went away. I think his dog was in the background. I think in his
That's
background.
all right.
But anyway, so here's my thought process with this. Was it your dog, Mike? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we had to de-dogify.
So the first thing I want to mention too, he has 3 years of eligibility for number one. Okay, which is huge. Now with the transfer portal, that probably doesn't mean much in today's world, but on paper it looks really, really good. When you look at the Illinois basketball players, Brad, you kind of stole my thunder, which I mentioned. They do a really good job of putting people in situations where they can succeed. They just do. Because Stojakovic early in the year, he was doing that isolation thing against Alabama. He was great. Then he kind of went away from it. Then Illinois found out, hey, this is a mismatch and we can take advantage of against anybody. You know, the way Keaton Wagner was able to use ball screens and the way they used Merkovic. So, to me, the reason I'm probably more excited about this situation is because I have to say this the correct way. I became frustrated with certain guys on this current roster that were just one-dimensional to me. I think now by adding a guy like Vaaks is you change that because you have to when you look at Hurley, whether we like UConn or not, that dude runs really, really good sets. And if you're not going to run tons of sets, you damn well better have a bunch of guys who can get their own. Looking at this roster right now, we saw Tommy go to the post, we saw Tommy shoot the ball. If they can get Stojakovic back, and I want to put this out there. Tell me a player in year two under Brad Underwood that's been in the transfer portal who didn't get better. So if sure, there's probably a possibility that Stojakovic may test NBA waters, but it'd be nice to get him back for a second year in a system who's been there, and if he can improve his 3-point shooting, this makes Illinois dangerous because now you don't have guys. And as much as I love Kylan Boswell, he wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter that they had. Jake Davis was if he was wide open. Well, now you have guys that can do both. You don't have to have guys that, you need an offense for them to get shots. So, yes, he's young. He has a lot to learn. But I tell you what, when you can go down and you can beat Florida for a kid like this in Illinois, who Florida won a national title 2 years ago, that tells you where the program is. And we all hope, let's not, sugarcoat it. If you can get John Blackwell in the backcourt with him and Quentin Coleman, and you have the guys returning back, I'm going to say it. I've listened to a number of podcasts driving home before I got this one. There are a number of people who are saying right now, if you get this core group to come back, if they add John Blackwell to this list, this potentially could be the preseason #1 team in the country. And I'm going to tell you what, in the top 5, Michigan and Michigan State's going to be right there too. So this is a great time. Illinois is recruiting at a high level at all sports. This is just, Mike, you said it a number of times. You got to enjoy this because Underwood's capitalizing on it. And let's give kudos to his staff. Brad's out there. He's the closer. He's the bullpen guy. But his staff has done a tremendous job at identifying talent and getting these kids to come and want to be here to try to win national titles. And that's one of the reasons Blackwell is interested in Illinois. He saw that Final Four thing. His dad was a part of the Final Four weekend. Illinois has a damn good shot. We can all go on record of getting there again. Sure, you need breaks to go your way and to stay healthy. But on paper, this team looks really good.
Especially you look at the size that they theoretically could throw at people. Now, granted, Stojakovic has to decide what he wants to do NBA-wise. But certainly if you take a look at Terrence Shannon's second year, there's reasons for a guy like Stojakovic or anybody else to say, I'm going to stick around for a second year because Shannon had a really good first year. And who thought he would have probably, arguably, the best year an Illini has ever had, his second year here. So it was exciting to see that. I personally like the positional size that Brad Underwood has. At 6'7", he can see over a lot of the guards who are going to be dealing with him. He's a 3-point threat. And if you have Stojakovic out there at 6'7", and even if it's Blackwell or Quentin Coleman, I think it's got to be really nice to be a tall 6'4", 6'4.5", and be the shortest guy in the lineup. That's got to be a pretty good feeling when you're able to do that. This to me is Illinois is doubling down on what they did well this year and looking to improve it for next year. Brad, how good would you rate this Vaaks on his 3-point shooting ability? Where would you put him as a guy who can run an offense and some of your thoughts? Because I know you've spent the last couple of days, really locked in a room kind of looking at his film.
Yeah, so he's an elite shooter. He's a fantastic shooter. He's got a lightning quick release. He's able to get his shot off with very little difficulty. Also, he's got great size at 6'7". He can shoot, in all different ways too. He catch and shoot off the dribble. He's not one of those guys that has to be, we've seen guys who shoot 40% from 3 on catch and shoots, then they dribble and they shoot 20%. He's not like that. He can shoot it doing both. He's got great range, so you have to defend him. So he's able to extend the floor higher, which allows more room for cutting and diving and creates more space. So all that's a part of it. Now, the other thing about him that I really like on the offensive end is that he can, he's got great ball skills too. He really doesn't turn the ball over. We've talked about, Illinois doesn't turn Wagler not turning it over. We've talked about those things. He's similar. Like, he doesn't turn the ball. He's at 14.3% turnover rate, which is really a solid rate for a guy who has the ball that much. Wagler was 12 point something. So maybe one more turnover per 100 possessions or something like that. So it's not much different there. So this is a guy who's really going to take care of the basketball. And the other thing is he's going to make the sophomore leap. So you're going to see a guy who played this year and his end of the season. If you look at what he did at the end of the season against Butler and also against, in the Big East tournament, St. John's, the Big East tournament, 28 and 23 in those two games, 51 points. And he shot, I think, 13 for 22 from 3-point range in those two games to end the season. So you're looking at a guy who really has a chance to be special in this Illinois offense, and that's why they loved him so much. That's why they wanted him. I mean, he was, and I will tell you this: they love him. Like, talking to different staff members, one staff member told me he was the number one fit for them. This is a couple days ago, that he was the number one fit for them in the portal offensively. Like, I mean, the best offensive player in the portal for what they're going to do. That doesn't mean there aren't other good offensive players, great shooters, and so forth, but he was the number one guy for them offensively in their system coming out of the transfer portal.
And that's because he's hold on a second. That's because he's a good shooter. He's got the positional size, and with his ball handling ability, he does stretch the floor the way they're wanting to do. So he kind of fits into the whole thing, correct?
Yep. He's perfect fit. I mean, that's positional size, skills, and basketball IQ. Well, there you go. That's the guy, right?
Yeah. Ked, go ahead now.
No, I was just going to say, when you look at, for people who are interested in rankings, you look at, there's about 5 different sites out there right now that list the top transfer portal people. He's in everybody's top 10. ESPN has him ranked 9th, and they have Blackwell ranked 2nd. Think about what that does to your program. Then you have one of the best incoming freshman classes in the country, and in the Big Ten. And I'm really curious to see how this is all going to play out if other players transfer, if they leave, because it's going to be a war. From a coaching standpoint, it's healthy because you're going to have 9 or 10 guys down there fighting for playing time and fighting to be on the court. Because the one thing, Brad, he will say he will play 9 guys. He hasn't. But if you can shoot the basketball, I don't care who you are, and if you can defend, if you're that 9th guy, you're going to see the court. You're going to be on the court at some point in time. And I think, looking at some of the guys, and I'm going to tell you, I don't feel bad about this at all. People can think I was lying and I was stupid about Milo Petrovic. Truthfully, now that he's in the transfer portal, Illinois knew Keaton Wagner was going to be good, but they didn't know he was going to be this good. They had every intention to being Petrovic being that guard along Kylan Boswell. But when you have a 6'6" guard like Wagler who can do it all, and they've seen it, that hurt him. I mean, it really did. So I wish him well. I think he's going to be successful. I still think he's a good fit for Illinois' program. I don't know if he shoots at as well as the staff would like, but it didn't work out for him. And at the end of the day, you can't keep everybody. Some of these kids need to go somewhere where they can play, and everybody has different goals. Some teams are rebuilding. I like the fact that Illinois they have size. And just think hypothetically, because we know Blackwell is not committed. You have a 6'4" guard in Blackwell, a 6'7" guard in Vaaks, and then you got Merkovic, and you have Tomislav and Andrej Stojakovic. Again, you could potentially, if you look at it, this team could be bigger than last year's team because you're adding more size at that guard position.
Yeah, 6'4", 6'7", 6'7", 6'9", and 7'1". That's a pretty good. Yep. Yeah, I mean that's pretty exciting. Brad, the one thing that some people have underscored, and I think my position on this has changed because I've really never seen a team that actually started to play lockdown defense after looking like they had no clue what defense was earlier in the season, the way this Illini team did. But let's be real honest. There are some people who are concerned that he doesn't seem to be very talented defensively or interested defensively. Based on what I saw this year on the run to the Final Four, that will change. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so there are definitely defensive issues. There's no question. One guy said he's one of the best players in Portland. I said, well, he's on offense, and I said, well, he's about 2,000th on defense. So but a lot of it, when you actually watch him and you watch the film and you break him down, there are signs that he can be a good defender. He has to be a little more willing to battle and compete. Like, he gets down inside, you see him get bumped, and like, do you remember when Wagler made the guy go out of bounds on the with the step back against Iowa?
Yep.
So this is what happens when Vaaks gets bumped on defense when he's guarding in the post. He will go that same just because of the bump. So he's got to get a little tougher down there when he's got that physicality. But I think upper body strength, being with Fletch, is going to give him some more confidence and help in that regard. He has good lateral quickness for a guy who's 6'7", 215 pounds. He really does have good lateral quickness. He's not a fast runner. He has a little bounce at times. I mean, he's not like a high flyer. But what I'll tell you is he can he had more dunks this year than like Wagler, for example. I mean, so he's got the ability to finish at the rim a little bit. But what I'd like to see him do, he's got to get better at learning how to kind of get skinny, get screen navigation. He's got to have a little bit better understanding where the screen's coming from, fighting through screens, those things. A lot of that's just kind of we've seen this a lot from guys from Europe, right? They come over and maybe that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? The physicality is a little bit different. We saw Mahalo struggle a little bit with that, with the physicality. We saw it with Kasparas, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he'll be fine once he gets, and the summer's going to be huge for him, just kind of learning how to do that and learning how to play in that system. And, but the biggest thing I think is rebounding. Because he'll learn how to use his length on defense, which will make him much better. And he's starting to show signs of that, at the end of the season. But he's got to rebound, and he doesn't really, he's got to be a willing rebounder. I think that's going to be the change for him. And as someone on our message board said, he better learn to speak treadmill if he's not going to rebound, right? Because we know that's where you're going to end up in Brad Underwood if you don't rebound it. So I think he will, and I think as he rebounds, you're talking about a guy who could become more. And if you don't watch that film, do you not see like Luka? I mean, maybe he's Walmart Luka, but he's still like, or Target Luka, I don't know, whatever he is, but he still has that same type of game where he's just going at a pace and you're kind of behind him and he's in control. He's got you on his hip and he just kind of glides where he needs to go, or you go under a screen. He's going to step back and shoot it every time he gets space. It's really interesting to watch him play and see that, kind of, Euro vibe to him.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, I just got a really good text message, which is unprofessional for me to be doing here on this podcast, but from a really, really good coach who's been around in the Big Ten, just sent me a text about him. His words, not Kedrick's. Elite offensive player, great playmaker, unlimited range, catch and shoot off the bounce, crafty score in the paint, which is all the things that we have been saying and that I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm not even worried about the defense. Some people on this podcast, and Mike, I don't know if you've seen it, I've been to a Brad Underwood practice before, and I know Cam has Brad is giving him the keys to the defense. I think I'm not going to be hard on the kid. He's a freshman. He's going to be in a different situation. He's going to get the right fit under Fletcher, number one. And number two, he's going to rebound and play defense. But Brad, you said it yourself. That sophomore leap. You're not going to bring a kid in like this and not utilize his talents. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. And if you read those comments, from a coach, you can damn well bet you that Illinois is going to be bringing this kid in for him to see time on the floor because he will learn how to guard. Let's call a spade. Keaton Wagner wasn't the best defensive player either. And there are different players. I'm not comparing, but the growth will be there. That's their job as coaches. Illinois, when they were in the in the NCAA tournament, we have all said it. I've heard other people on podcasts locally, nationally, Bruce Pearl, guys who make us want to vomit every time we see his name. He said the same thing. Illinois has never played defense the way they have in this tournament. Well, I don't think Brad Underwood is going to get mad and put Cam Crocker in a timeout room and say, now you got to, let them play bad defense again. They're going to continue this. I really think this is a big get, a big guard. And when you look at his catching and shooting ability and his ability to put it on the deck, all of this, to me, the Illinois is trending up.
And they have to, because if you take a look at the Big Ten, Michigan is going to, they've already started moving forward by getting a couple commits. You've got Michigan State, who's bound and determined to not let Michigan get too far ahead of them. You've got Iowa that has a heck of a coach, and they're going to be trying to move forward. And Indiana, Lord only knows what direction they're going to go in, because they tend to go in 3 different directions at once. But Indiana's going to try to get back in the mix. And I'm sorry, people trap Matt Painter into the ground, that you're absolutely insane if you don't think Purdue's not going to find a way to compete. I mean, that Big Ten is going to be tough as heck. And then out west, you have UCLA and USC going big. So,
Yes.
I mean, Illinois has to they have to make and get a benefit out of the Final Four. And I think they're doing that quite well. Brad, the other question that comes up, obviously, Blackwell hasn't made his decision yet. We know there's a lot of reasons that he might decide to come to Illinois. Are there other people in the portal that could do as good a job for the Illini? Because I tend to, and I know this is crazy, but now that I've seen how Brad Underwood works his roster, I tend to not get too upset, because when it's all said and done, he's going to find guys to go to ride into battle with, and he's been pretty good at his choices.
Yeah, I think the other thing you look at here with Vaaks is you can use him in different methods. Like, so let's say you get Blackwell. Okay, he fits perfectly seamlessly with your 3 perimeter guys there. It's fine. Let's say you don't get Blackwell. You could actually bring in there are a multitude of point guards you could bring in who could play, who could be really good and maybe offset, what he does and be different. Much like there are players out there who are a little bit maybe more like a Kylan Boswell type that would play alongside him, and a guy that then you can move Vaaks more to kind of in a 2-guard role, right? And do things like that. You can move him to a 3 and let Stojakovic play 2. So versatility is key. The other thing is, you can do is you can have him as the point guard. You bring in another shooter like lost his first name, the McNeil kid, right? Who's 45% 3-point shooter. The kid that they've contacted. Then they have another 3 that's on campus today from Wisconsin, Xavier Zenz on campus. He's a kid who blew up this year and had a fantastic year again. 6'7" guy. Well, you bring him in and he competes. You've got Quentin Coleman. Okay, well, worst case scenario, we let Quentin Coleman and Lucas Murillo play more. There are so many options that they have behind them. And I know a lot of people want, and we haven't even talked about like a Ty Rodgers. And I know he doesn't fit the shooting prowess, but he's a baller. The dude just balls. And sometimes you just got to let guys play and let them go. We haven't talked about, how they use, different guys and that they have returning, and where does, can Ethan Brown, I'm going to tell you right now. And I have been, the more I watch, Ethan Brown's got some growing to do, like on the defensive side of the ball. He's got some bounce. And then the more I watch Landon Davis, I've been using this phrase too much, but maybe he's a Walmart Merkovich. He is like, he's the same guy. Maybe he has a little more bounce, actually. Probably not as good as as Merk. He's not as advanced. He's not as strong as physical. But there are so many guys that they have, and we tend to like say, here's a quote over here, freshmen. Yeah, we'd hate to have freshmen because, we didn't just have, let's see, you had 2 one-and-dones last year. Your 2 best players were freshmen this year. God, we'd hate to have freshmen play. Just think about what you say before you say it. And so that's what, it's just, to me, that's where you've got guys. These are not your typical freshmen that you would have recruited in the past. Like when, and I'm not trying to be mean, but when John Gross was here, or, Bruce Weber was here, these are not those guys. These are dudes like Quentin Coleman and Lucas Murillo. You watch Lucas Murillo against the best players in the world coming in next year, and he looked like he belonged last night. Quentin Coleman is, some people think, is the best guard in the country during high school season, at least top 5. So these are dudes, right? I mean, yeah, that's why they're getting drafted. That's why they're going on. And, these are guys that are going to play. They're good. And that's where you've got to understand that they're going to get minutes. So you have to find a way to get those minutes to those guys while also bringing in other guys. So there's a fine line there. But I think you can bring in a low usage guy and still be fine when you have Vaaks and Stojakovic. You could bring in a high usage guy who can guy more ball dominant, because then you got the 2 wings who can score and shoot and different things. So a lot of versatility, a lot of options for Illinois moving forward.
Well, I'm going to tell you, for me right now, I like the freshman class. I really do. I think the freshman class is talented. But I'm going to tell you, we know how good Quinn Coleman is. But the sleeper, I've said it all along, and I don't know if he's going to play, but Ethan Brown to me is a sleeper, because that kid he has bounce, he can shoot it, he's much more athletic than what people think. And Mike and I, we've done this with football, and I'm going to translate this to basketball. You won't know how good these freshmen are. Look who else is recruiting them. Let's just take a step back, because because you get an offer doesn't mean, well, yeah, they really want you. Vaaks was being heavily recruited by Florida. Not like, I want you. If you have to be, I use this analogy all the time, which is probably not nice. Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder to not know that Blackwell is being pursued by Duke. You know this. Illinois is going head-to-head with these players, and they're not missing anything. They're not going to miss anything. So my thing is, when you look at who else is recruiting these kids, that should tell you what you think of them. Quentin Coleman, kid could have went anywhere that had a scholarship available. Illinois, you want to talk about a steal, robbing the bank or robbing whatever the hell you want to call it, that was it. That was a gem that they got. Easy sell. And now what's really unique is that these players who are on campus are selling what they have. I can tell you right now, and I'm going to put it on my message board if somebody asks me, there are some schools where you go visit, and when the players are with the players themselves, there are players who will flat out tell them, do not come here. That has happened. That's not happening in Illinois right now. I can tell you firsthand. I've had a kid say that they've said it before, and they told a kid. Then the kid ended up going somewhere to an SEC school. So what you do, your product that you have, all that stuff matters. Keaton Wagner's a good spokesman. He helped out with Coleman. And I can tell you right now, with Vaaks, it's an easy sell. You look at the offense, and I'm sure he knows where he's going to be able to excel, and they're going to grow his game. That's the other thing we really can't minimize. You get to grow your game under Illinois. You get to, learn how to play more than one position. I remember I would have egg on my face. Somebody told me that David Mercurick would never see the floor. This came from a coach. This kid was all freshman, and he's probably going to be an all Big Ten performer coming back next year. So this team is talented, and I give the coaches credit as well. They have a good eye for talent.
Yeah, and one thing before we kind of wrap this up, I mean, and Brad can kind of comment on this. There's a lot of questions, Andre, what's he going to do? We got the twins and Merck. What are they going to do? And there's a part of me that feels like that Illinois is working two sides of the deal. One is retention of the guys you want, and the other side is, based on how those retention discussions are going, getting the guys that you think you need. So maybe I will be proven wrong, Brad, but it seems like, from a retention standpoint, Illinois seems to be in a good place. And it seems like they're able to go out and work on guys that are a period of need. Obviously nothing is written in stone, but I got to think that maybe these coaches know what they're doing when they're looking at this roster.
I mean, I guess we might have a little bit of an idea, but no, I do think there's part of it that, they know, they know what they're looking for. They have a type. I mean, we can see it. If you can't see it, I mean, that doesn't mean they're not going to take a guy that isn't exactly their type because he's really good. But you have guys that are their type. They like guys that can shoot the basketball. They like guys that have good size, positional size, and high basketball IQ. And everything else, when you throw in an extra athlete and things like that, now it becomes even more, a guy who fits even better. And so this is they're going to keep doing the same thing because it's successful. I mean, it's hard to argue with, the last 3 years, an Elite Eight, a Final Four, and a second round in 3 years. I mean, Illinois basketball has not done that consistently, ever, right? I mean, they've had little upticks and then they go back down, as we talked about at the beginning. So, yeah, they're going to find guys, and I always say this: there's talent on, you take the top 25 programs that are all spending millions and millions of dollars through the portal. There's talent on every team. There's no team that doesn't have talent. But now you have to maximize that talent, and you have to make that talent, put that talent in a position to succeed, a talent that can, where they can excel and where they can be successful. And that's what they've done. That's what I love about this staff. And that's why I feel like they're going to be good for a long time.
I agree. I think they're going to be here. And I know everybody else is, when you lose a game, the coaches automatically take the blame. Everybody's been critical, that early Monday morning armchair quarterback. We've all been there and we've all done it. But when you look now, for me, I'm glad they found a system. I think for years they were trying to figure out, they want to go big with Kofi. They want to go this, that. Now they are looking for shooters, guys who are tall, guys who can put the ball on the floor, spread the floor. They're looking for more than one-dimensional guy, and they like to have guys with size. Like I said earlier in this podcast, I think the Big Ten is attractive right now. And I know, and I love to burn the SEC schools, and I'm going to take advantage of it. You look at all these transfers, these people are coming to the Midwest, all levels, football, women's basketball, men's basketball. It's great. I mean, it's a really, really good opportunity for the Big Ten to, the ship is changing directions, and I like it. I think it's good. So to go out to the Big East to get a kid like that, I know right now I'm sitting here looking, and I can't say it on this podcast, but there's a friend of mine that you both know that, who's always in my ear, sent me a text. Now he's concerned because, oh my gosh, are you going to get Blackwell? They don't want to see Illinois become good. Illinois is striking the fear in people, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of wrap this podcast up. Is we will at Illini Guys, of course, we have our message boards, which Brad and Ket probably have master's degree level on how to hint at things without ruining it for a kid. And trust me, that's a skill that is developed over decades, and I've had the ability to watch both of them do that for a long time. But we do everything we can to make sure that the kid gets that moment that they can, be excited about, and we'll let other people nationally worry about, being the people who broke the story. But it was definitely an exciting day here for Illini Guys, as we are hopeful that Illini will put out the strongest team possible out there during basketball season. And we've been pleasantly surprised that Coach Beelum has done such a great job making our football seasons more fun than what we thought when we started this gig back in 2021. So we have really enjoyed that. I think, if you can subscribe, it's at IlliniGuys.com. It's 27 cents a day. But the key thing is once you subscribe, get back into the message boards, start arguing with people, and start having fun. Yeah, because that's what happens.
Please don't do that.
But start having fun. There are certain guys out there that will argue anything, and you'll find out real quickly who they are. But you can listen, and you can follow Brad and Ked there and get all the information, because we don't talk about anything on here that hasn't been on the board. And so that's where all the nuggets, go first. But we would love to have more members there. And of course, the more members who subscribe just makes it easier for us in this new Big Ten to try to cover this, where we have to be flying all over the country. It's a little bit harder than it used to be. Ked? Did you have a point
with this? Yes, I do. I love my friends. You guys are special. I never big league people, but I prefer you stop texting me and asking me for information. Go subscribe. Because for every one person that you think that you're texting me individually, there's 100 of you that I've been friends with. Get off, call your wife, your loved one, your significant others, your divorced wife. I don't care. Ask them to help you subscribe. Quit asking me for personal information that I'm being paid to do. Get on the message board. You can read it, and you don't have to ask it because other people may tell you. You know what? I want to introduce you to Mike Hagley and Matt Stevens and Zeno and Larry Smith and everybody else. Get out there. If you got to go out to do a couple other jobs, cut a couple lawns to get you $99, do what you got to do, fellas. But leave a brother alone, man. I'm tired, man. Just go to the board and hook us up. I'm sorry, Mike. How about that for a plug, baby?
Yeah. Yeah, there we are. We've definitely got a new way to look at it. That's a perspective I didn't really see coming, Brad. I'm not certain.
I bet you don't disagree with it.
I don't agree. No, I think that is pretty much one of those things that we definitely will take into consideration. And I'm trying to even update our programming so that we're going to be up to date and make sure that people are aware that Ked does have too many friends. Please leave him alone.
Ked doesn't want friends. Ked hates friends.
No, I love my friends, man, but gee, when it's Christmas. Hey, I haven't talked to you in 15 years. What do you know about this? Subscribe, fellas. Subscribe.
Yeah,
Brad, you got to get it too, man.
Ked, I wondered how you're doing. I haven't talked to you in 15 years. Is Merc back?
Yeah. You know what? That's what it's like. It is. And then what's funny is when I say it, there's so many friends of mine, they copy it and they screenshot it and it comes back to me. I'm like, dude, you want to different story, different day. Subscribe.
So no more information. You'll go to IlliniGuys.com and you'll like it. That's a perfect way to wrap this up. But we will be having, when conditions warrant, we'll give you updates. We will have podcasts. We'll have a lot of fun with what we're doing. We're enjoying the off season, but we've kind of figured out that basically there is no off season until the portal's over. And then we'll get a chance for Brad and Ked to take a breath, and they can finally have a day where they have less than 1,000 texts in their inbox with their phones, which I'm very happy I don't have to deal with. So there's reasons you'd want to be an insider, and there's reasons you'd not want to be an insider. And I've seen these guys, and they've had their phones surgically just put into their hand so that they don't never lose it. The Illini we're hoping, the next few days there should be some news. Obviously, the Blackwell situation's fluid. Andrei Stojakovic is fluid. There's plenty of things to keep track of. Come to IlliniGuys.com, and we will do podcasts like this. We're more worried about getting the information out and having some fun than we are trying to plan it to maximize everything. Hopefully, we'll give you guys a couple minutes notice, and you can come on and join us. Until next time, folks, go Illini.